Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault 2, and we're back out here in my garage for another Garage Gun Talk, and another first thoughts and impressions with some firearms that I took to the range. Well, really, one is going to be a product review, and the other one is a really cool PCC. And you guys know I like to tell you about my experiences when I come back from the range, talk about them, and sometimes you guys give me a little bit of insight to them that I didn't think about, and I can add it to my video. I'll start off with the more boring thing first that probably not a lot of you are going to care about. It was a product review on a magnifier. And let me show you what this magnifier is. I put it on my North Star Arms NS15, and it's this one right here. As you can see, it's kind of a big guy. It's a 5x magnifier. And it is made by a company that I have reviewed other products from, and they're kind of like one of those catch-all Chinese companies. Sometimes their products are actually pretty good. I will say this company has made a bipod that's pretty good. They made a brass catcher that was pretty good. But I guess they now make magnifiers, and it's Feyachi or Feyachi. I know it sounds Italian, but it's definitely Chinese. And they sent me this, and I thought it would be a good pairing with one of the red dots that I recently reviewed from CV Life, and I think that this is one of those red dots that's like made in the same factory as like the SIG Romeo 5s or something. It's a pretty good red dot for what it is. So I thought that if somebody was going to buy this magnifier, they're going to pair it with something like this. You're not going to buy a $700, $800 aim point and buy this magnifier. But I took it to the range, tried it out, and I got some problems with it. And this is probably one of those things where after I make the review, the company will probably never contact me again. In fact, there's been a couple of other optics companies that they sent me a couple things, they were okay, and then I have one bad experience, and I always tell you guys what happened. And they got mad at me and never contacted me again. And I have a feeling that Feyachi or Feyachi or whatever it's called is never going to contact me again after. It's not bad. It does function, but I'll tell you what the problems are with it. The first thing is, of course, it takes up a lot of real estate on the rail, and you can see how the mount is. It's towards the back. It does flip to the side, but it's not spring-loaded. So if you want to close it or open it, you have to constantly push that button. It has a little bit of play in it, in that hinge, just because it's not spring-loaded. My biggest issue with this is the eye relief, in that your eye has to be so close to this magnifier for you to get a good field of view. It's almost unusable. I was able to use it. It does magnify about 5 times. It has some interesting adjustments on it for windage and elevation. It doesn't change the point of impact of the dot, because you would adjust that up here, but it changes where in your field of view that dot is. And the fine focus works really well. It's just too big, and the eye relief is just unforgiving. And you can't mount it back any further. As you can see, I have it mounted where it's on the last piece of rail before I get to the charging handle, and it mounts so far back that you can't have backup iron sights with this. Yeah, it's not I don't know, it's just not a good magnifier. I really would want to mount it farther forward, but then the eye relief is impossible. So it works. Maybe if you have a rifle where you can mount this really far back, it might work well for you. The glass is clear. It only distorted the dot just a little bit. It really started to pronounce the tail. You guys know how everybody has a slight astigmatism, and if you look at a red dot or a green dot, you're always going to get a little bit of a tail in like one direction or the other. Mine goes to the right and down. And when I look through the magnifier on this, it really exaggerates that. But it works. It's just the eye relief is unforgiving. So for me, it's not a product that I would recommend. It works, but it's not the best. I would just save up and get a better magnifier than this. So I think on my review, which I've already filmed, I think I gave it like 2.5 stars out of 5. It didn't fall apart. It worked. But it's not easy to use, and it's awkwardly mounted to your gun because you have to take off backup iron sights, and you have to have it mounted so far back. But now, let's talk about the thing you guys are probably going to want to know more about, And I still have to film the garage portion on this one. And this is the B&T SPC9SD. I guess it's the SPC. I don't know if there's a K version or this is just the SD, because it has the shorter handguard to it. I don't know. I'll have to go and look. I think this is just a standard SD version. But as you can see, it's an SBR. It is suppressed. It's integrally suppressed. So the suppressor comes all the way back to here. And the SPC, of course, is a little bit different than the other offerings from B&T. It's still a 9mm PCC, or pistol caliber carbine. But I feel like this gun is designed more for the American market and American shooters than it is European shooters, because the controls and the aesthetics are a little bit more like an AR-15, or what some people would probably call an AR-9, a AR-15 chambered to 9mm. The receiver is a little bit more rounded. We have a charging handle in the back. We have a buffer tube because the shape of the bolt is longer. It's not a square like you'd have in the APC or the GHM. You do have some of those European controls that I like. So you have the charging handle up here on the front, so you can charge it from the back or the front. All the controls on the lower are ambi, and this is one that has the Glock lower. Now, I'm going to talk a lot about that in my review, and when I do a comparison video on this versus the APC SD, I'm going to talk about this and talk about how I prefer the B&T mags more than the Glock mags, because I know I'm gonna tick some people off. And I'll go ahead and tell you what I'm probably going to say. And remember, this is my personal opinion, and I'm kind of half joking, okay? I don't really care what kind of gun you buy or what kind of gun you like, okay? I don't pass any judgments on that. But in my opinion, if you're one of those people that always asks, does it take Glock mags, and you only want a PCC that takes Glock mags, you're either cheap or lazy, because they just don't work as well as a proper submachine gun magazine. Now, by work, I don't mean function. So this magazine worked fine. This is one of mine that I put in here because it's the longer ones, the longer stick mags. I think it's like 33 rounds or something, or 30 rounds, something like that. It fed fine. It loaded fine, okay? But my problem with the Glock mags in any type of pistol caliber carbine is twofold. Number one, the angle. Because these magazines are designed for pistol grips, they're at an angle. And I find that these are harder to insert and find the mag well with. Like a B&T mag, an Uzi mag, a Colt AR-15 9mm magazine, they're straight. They're a stick mag. And they go straight up, and they're so easy to manipulate. I've always found this angle to be awkward. Like, I want to come in like this, but you can't. You have to come in back at an angle, and it slows me down. I always fumble with it. And number two, in my opinion, a gun is supposed to be designed to be shot with the magazine it was intended for. And I know they can make Glock mags work in this thing, but it's a single feed magazine. So this magazine just has feed lips that allow for one round at the top, where a proper submachine gun mag is double feed. That's the way the gun was designed. Yeah, they can make this work, but it's just not right. In my opinion, it's just not right. It needs to have a proper B&T mag. An Uzi needs to have a proper Uzi mag. I don't know. It's kind of like, you go out and buy I like to use car analogies because I think a lot of people understand the car analogies. Imagine you go out and you buy a BMW, okay? And the first thing you do is go, does it take Ford parts? Well, you don't want Ford parts in a BMW. Yeah, you can retrofit a BMW to, I'm sure, to take some, Ford parts, and you can modify it and that kind of thing. But you want BMW parts in a BMW. You want Ford parts in a Ford, and I think you want B&T parts in a B&T. You don't want to change that. That's just the way that I look at guns and gun collecting and what's interesting and valuable to me. And for me, the Glock mags, while they work, they're just not my favorite. The other thing about this that surprised me, and I guess I'm going to talk more about it in the comparison video between this and the APC, is the tone of the suppressor. Now, the suppressor for this SPC is shaped different, or a little bit different than the APC one. The APC suppressor is more unified when it comes to how wide it is, how wide the tube is, because the handguard is larger. And I feel like it has more volume. And because of that, I think it's a little bit softer and the tone is a little bit lower. Now, I want to show you what this suppressor looks like. I'm going to unscrew it, but even though YouTube says you're allowed to do this now, I'm going to turn around and unscrew it so I don't show you on camera, okay? So I'm going to turn around here, magically, and I'm going to take this suppressor off so I can show you its shape. Because it's definitely a lot different than other suppressors you're familiar with. So here it is. Yeah, it kind of looks like a hand grenade, you know, where you would, grab it here and throw it. But yeah, as you can see, this part of the suppressor up here is what goes around the barrel, and the barrel is ported. And so it takes some of that initial gas, slows the projectile down to subsonic velocities, and then most of the expansion of the gas is in here. And I find that the pitch of this suppressor is kind of in the middle range. It's not a high-pitched suppressor, but it's more like in the middle range. But the APC, which I think has more volume back here, I think its tone is better. So anyway, that's what I discovered. But I think I'm going to save that more for the comparison video. And I think the other downside to this particular design and this particular gun, let me reattach this thing, because you can't see the magic of putting a suppressor on a gun. That's just, it's too much, is the buffer tube. Because this bolt is designed the way it is, you can't have pretty much anything but a telescoping stock or brace on it. You can't have a folding stock or brace like you can on the APC. And I think you get more options on the APC. You can have a telescoping stock on that one, a folding stock, all that stuff. So you're kind of stuck with this one. Now, I do like the telescoping stocks. And I do like the fact you can kind of use this as a cheek weld. But I think it limits your options, especially if you're somebody that likes the MBT style stocks from B&T. But this gun, though, is super accurate and a lot of fun, and I can't miss with it. It's going to get very high marks in the review, almost a perfect review. But because it takes Glock mags, now I know there's versions that take the B&T mags. I know you can change the lowers out. I know that. But remember, I always review the guns from how they are when I shoot them, and it's my personal opinion on how they're set up. Okay, so almost a perfect review, But this was a lot of fun, and I really have to thank Jack number 2 because of all of the logistics for making this happen. Because obviously SBR suppressor, all that kind of stuff. So he really takes time out of his day to make this happen. So thank you so much, Jack. So that's what happened at the range today, and wanted to share that with you. Let's talk about a couple of other things. First off, let's talk a little politics real fast. And I saw today, and I'm kind of surprised that more gun channels aren't talking about it, is the news that a district court judge here in Texas, in North Texas actually, struck down the ATF's new rule on FRT triggers and forced reset triggers, and what was the other one called? I guess it kind of did the same thing. You know how they had that Operation Reticent Recall where people that bought them were getting letters in the mail, the ATF was going to people's doors. I don't think anybody ever got arrested for it, but they were claiming if you bought one of these, they were a machine gun. And I guess because of the Cargill case in the Supreme Court, the lower court has stepped in and gone and used the same logic and go, well, they said this is a machine gun by the letter of the law, you can't reinterpret it. And they've thrown the whole rule out. They said the ATF cannot confiscate them. They can't destroy the ones that they have. They can't send out letters. They can't harass people. The whole rule has been thrown out. The whole thing. It's not like an injunction. It is summary judgment, which is awesome. And the two things I wanted to talk about when it comes to those FRT triggers, the first thing is to understand that the battle is not over. I know we all want to celebrate, but I always warn you guys that the anti-gunners never stop and they never sleep. So the summary judgment came out, not ruled on based on the Second Amendment, but instead the Administrative Procedures Act, from what I understand. And essentially, one of the big sticking points of the summary judgment said the ATF couldn't make this rule because the public didn't have adequate input on this rulemaking decision. So I have a feeling what the ATF is going to do is like on the other things that they've been struck down with on this Administrative Procedures Act, you know, essentially making things like pistol braces, FRT triggers, so forth, illegal. They're just going to go back and redo it again using the Administrative Procedures Act. And then we got to fight the whole battle again because it wasn't thrown out on Second Amendment grounds. Now, the judge, I haven't read the whole ruling yet. I did download it and I started to go through, I think, a majority of it. He did talk about the clear definition of what a machine gun is in federal law and what the Supreme Court said about it. So hopefully that will stop them from trying it again, but we shall see. The other thing I wanted to talk about that is all the people that when this was going on, that were going online and mouthing off. And what I mean by that is, every time the ATF makes some type of ruling, bans this or that, there's so many people that go out there, just like with the pistol braces and so forth. And there are these chicken littles. And they go around saying, oh my God, the sky is falling. They're going to come to your house. They're going to kill you. They're going to kill your dog. You're a felon. All this kind of stuff. And nothing ever happens. Okay? I know it's clickbait. I know a lot of other channels that have breaking news or Second Amendment landscape changed forever or all that kind of BS stuff. And you click on it. You get all fired up. You get all angry and upset and that kind of stuff. When there hasn't even been time for these courts to adjudicate this stuff. And I tell people, just shut up. You know, I think that so many people, when this kind of stuff happens, when things get banned, the first thing they do is they come to a channel like mine or other YouTube channels, and they say, shall not be infringed. The ATF can't create law. And they're right. However, you're essentially announcing publicly in a post-constitutional world to a bureaucratic agency that's probably monitoring this stuff. And you're saying, shall not be infringed. ATF can't create law. What do you think they're doing? They're probably going, I bet this person probably has one of these things. Maybe we should put one of those, search traces on them. Let's go check out their social media. Let's follow them a little bit deeper. Let's get a warrant to search their credit card records. Let's see what they bought because they're sure adamant about the ATF can't create law and shall not be infringed. Even though it is your right, and I'll support your right to say it. It's annoying as heck. But I think the smartest thing to do is just shut the hell up because you can go out and donate to organizations that are going to fight this in court, and then when they win, no eyes, no unwanted attention has been put upon you. So, what I'm trying to say is, there were a lot of people out there that when the Operation Reticent Recall, the FRT stuff, started to come down the pipe, there were people that were freaking out, okay? Now, there were some people that got letters in the mail from the ATF, okay? And I've heard stories that some people got visited. Now, it's my understanding that most people that bought them did not have any of that happen to them, okay? I know a few people never got a letter in the mail. They never got a visit from the ATF. And it seems like most of the people that got letters or visits were people that bought from a certain seller on a certain website, okay? And that's how they got found out, and maybe they were... those people that were the sellers were working with the feds. I don't know, okay? That's all I can say. I don't know. I have no inside information on that. But everybody was panicking, and there was a whole bunch of people, and I saw this on some of the legal channels, like, I need to destroy my trigger. How do I do this? How do I legally do it? I'm going to take videos of it. It's like, just shut the hell up. Just act like you don't have it, lose it, you know? And then when all this happens, imagine all those people that were panicking destroyed their $500, $400 triggers, and now they're completely legal. You essentially panicked like Chicken Little, destroyed $400 or $500 worth of your own property, and now you'll never have it back again, and those are completely legal. Sometimes it's good just to keep your mouth shut. You know, the people that go online and spout the shall not be infringed, the ATF can't create law stuff, are usually the ones that are going to lose, right? The true people that are doing the civil disobedience, not following the rules, are the ones that keep their mouths shut. So I know that there are people out there that bought these. They probably took them off, put them someplace else, did something else with them, and just shut the hell up. Okay? Maybe they took them to, I don't know, somebody else's house. Maybe they buried them in the yard. Maybe they lost them in a boating accident. I don't know, don't care. And they're like, well, maybe one day I'll need it, or maybe one day they'll be legal again. And here we are. And they didn't say anything online. They didn't have to go online and say, shall not be infringed. The ATF can't create law from my cold dead hand. They didn't have to do any of that stuff. And they were the true patriots, the ones that were truly civilly disobedient, because they were the ones that truly gave the ATF the middle finger. And so I want to applaud those people, because now force reset triggers are completely legal to own, shoot, buy, sell again. And I'll see when I post this video if I can link to the judge or the judgment, and you guys can go and read it for yourself. So those are the things I want to talk about. A product review on a magnifier that was, okay. A really cool SBR, integrity suppressed B&T. You guys know I love B&Ts. And I'm going to do a range report on this, and then a comparison video with an APC on this. And then talk about the force reset trigger stuff, and what do you guys think? And now that it's completely legal, tell me, were you civilly disobedient and just shut the hell up? I'd like to know. So now let me know in the comment section below what you think about any of this. And the word of the day. Word of the day. The word of the day is going to be Brugger, because B&T, while it's no longer Brugger and Tomet, it's now just B&T officially. Carl Brugger is the founder of B&T. This is a cool gun, so use the word Brugger in your comment, and I know you watched all the way to the end. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. Thank you for joining me here in the garage. I always enjoy it. And, as always, thanks for watching.